What's going on, good people? I am Jamar Allen.
And I am Jimmy Evans.
And we both are super excited to be here and welcome you to Barbershop Therapy. What Barbershop Therapy is, man.
Yeah, we cut through the problems. Well, basically, it's a space where men are comfortable having a conversation, the ability to be in a safe space and, be yourself. You're not a father. You're not a dad, a uncle, a cousin, boss, any of that stuff. Just a guy getting a haircut and no haircuts right now, but just going to talk about it.
Shameless plug. but today we got a super special guest. Super special guest today. I'm curious about this. I went to a couple of events and I didn't necessarily retain the information like I could because I was helping and doing more. So
he was talking too much.
No, I actually had me helping put stuff up and set up. So I couldn't really get the knowledge I wanted and I didn't feel like going to YouTube. So I'm glad we got this guest here today because it's some really important stuff. It's going to stop a lot of our GoFundMe campaigns. I hope. I mean, so. If I'm being honest, like that's to me, that's just.
That's right.
I told my wife one time. I said, if you got to do that, just strike a match. Strike a match. Don't go out there doing that. But it's we're going to talk about some really good things, and I'm going to get educated. We're all going to get educated, and hopefully y'all will too, man. So,
please introduce yourself, young man.
Absolutely. My name is Demetrius Harvey. I have a firm called Harvey & Associates Financial Group, LLC. I've been practicing here in the area over our 10-year anniversary.
Okay.
Yeah, that's January.
Hey, 10 years.
Absolutely. So
almost the same amount of time I was in high school. So where you go to school at? What do you specialize in?
Okay, great. So right here in Raleigh, I went to Millbrook High School. So shout out to the Wildcats.
Okay.
It was
we don't talk about
had a little fun there. Then I went on to North Carolina Central.
Okay.
Eagle Pride here.
Right.
Graduate there. Did some certifications at UNC Chapel Hill. Actually, it came to me in the area of public health education, which is so full circle because I still apply those practices to financial services.
Okay.
Actually, I got into financial services. I've been practicing the area for the last 10 years, but I originally got my first license in 2001. And the only reason I did it because in 1999, my aunt at a family reunion, just a couple years out of college, she was like, baby, you one of the smart ones in the family. She said, why don't you get a life insurance license? I was like, why? She was like, well, we got all these little small policies around here. Your great grandma just passed and nobody understands them. Mm-hmm. Why don't you just get one just so you can see how you can help us figure that out?
Sure.
That's right. And on a whim, I just said, okay.
Information.
Didn't think nothing of it because when you're out of school, you hungry, you trying to grind, find whatever job you can.
Avenue is open.
You hear about being in that industry. So I did. I got my license in 2001 just to read the small policies for the family. Wow. Did not think of it as a career coming forward in full circle how it did, but it did. Because our families back then bought a lot of $1,000 policies they were paying on for 50 years,
and
40 years, 30 years.
After
the bank, the name done changed so many times.
Term policies.
So
right?
what?
No, they were whole life policies. Whole life policies.
What are whole life policies? We're talking about them, and I've signed a lot of stuff.
All right,
but
so to give you some historical context. The product has changed over the years, right? Mm-hmm. So the contract that your grandparents had, not necessarily close to the same ones that are out there now. But whole life policies are typically permanent policies that a person can own that should be able to be around their whole life. That's the whole intent. That it won't lapse as long as you pay the policy. The premiums won't never increase as long as you pay them, typically. Right, so some may build value, some may not. But the point is, it should be there when she gets buried or he gets buried. Mm-hmm. So when my grandma bought that policy from JCPenney because it was a JCPenney's. Yeah, JCPenney's used to sell whole life policies.
Yes, life insurance policy from JCPenney.
My grandma bought a policy from JCPenney. That by the time I saw it, 2001. If you fast forward, she bought it in 1983. It had changed names like 4 times. Another company bought that company.
So was it still valid?
It was still valid. But here's the crazy part. It was still only worth $1,000 even though she was paying on it since 1983.
Okay, hold on. All right.
That was crazy.
So
that's why they wanted me to read those contracts.
This is novice me, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you say I own a policy, 40 now. Let's say I get a insurance policy. Where do I go to get a life insurance policy? And what does that look like? And what should I look for? Let's say I just decide, all right, I'm listening to this podcast. I'm gonna just Google it while I'm listening to it and see where do you suggest I go and what am I looking for? What do I look for and what do I run away from?
Good question. So right now you can pretty much buy a policy if you just go online, right? You can literally go online and find a life insurance policy. I typically would buy a policy from an agent representing a company versus going online. This is why. First of all, if I was to buy a life insurance policy through the mail, which they send you slips in the mail, you can find them in your coupon section.
Yeah, I just toss it.
I won't name companies, but you see them in there.
Yeah, just throw it in trash.
Right, you see that in there. Well, if you buy that policy, that's fine. You may have coverage. But what happens when your loved one who has that policy or you had that policy pass away? Who do they call? Customer service? Right?
If they even know you have it.
Well, yeah, they got to.
You got to have a communication about.
Yeah, you got to prove.
That's vital too, right?
Right. You'll have a document, but you still got to call customer service.
Got you.
Right. And customer service may not be 24/7.
Or they may not be.
They might not work on Saturday. Right. So who's going to help me get through the business of trying to get this policy implemented?
Versus a local representative that I can call their cell phone, and it might not be the middle of the night, but I can call them Saturday morning or shoot a text on Sunday and say...
Start the process.
Okay.
Someone who will represent you on your behalf to help you at least cut through the tape.
Yeah. How do you verify a company when you're in that process? Like you said, you can see there are people or companies that send you slips in the mail and they send you, different things online. How do you verify that this is an actual company that's reputable?
Good question. So life insurance companies have grades just like paper, just like U.S. dollars, like a U.S. Treasury note, AAA rated, right? Yeah. Insurance companies have those same ratings. You can go online and look for the strongest companies, and they will list them from a AAA rating all the way down, right? AAA, AA, and there's 4 agencies that are non-biased that typically give you a grade on these companies. AM Best is one. There's 3 other ones I'm thinking. I'm drawing a blank. I'll pull up hopefully by the time we finish this. But there's 4 companies that will give a grade on this company, and sometimes they'll even lay out to a point of how fast or how slow are they about paying death benefits in case of death benefits. Like the lifeline of a company is up there. You can look at them. And so you can start with the strongest and work your way down. You go, okay, if this company's AAA rated paper, that tells me they're very good in terms of having company strength. They have reserves where at least if something catastrophic happens, they can actually pay all the policies that they've taken monies from, right? That they have surplus.
Gotcha.
Right. That's important.
So
right,
explain that reserves part, because I think that's very important when you look at a catastrophe like a hurricane or something like that happens, then people don't actually know some of the terms that you might use in the conversation. So I think, as far as we're moving forward in this conversation, we definitely need to concentrate on the terms that are used in, like you said, your aunt needed you to, kind of.
Yeah, we'll get lost in the language, and that's the luxury of having somebody like you here, because you hear reserved. I immediately thought reserve. I thought about. Well, no, I thought about what's the bank, like, not Fort Knox and
Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve, not Fort Knox, but Federal Reserve. I mean, thought about that. I'm like, well, what does that have to do? And so it went from to what?
Right.
So yeah,
just like in the business, do they have reserves? Right. Can they handle a stress test? These these non-biased agencies I'm talking about, the way you get these ratings is they typically put you through maybe a financial stress test. That's how you get your rating. Can you weather the storm? Is your company available? If we go catastrophic in this place and everybody passes away, would your company be able to pay every policy that's on the books? Can they? Like where are they?
I see. So that's why.
Where
all right,
are
so that
they
makes
on that
sense when y'all
level?
said the hurricane. Like if it's let's say a region gets destroyed by war.
Will we go
God
out of
forbid.
business?
Yeah.
If we have to pay all the premiums.
Got you. Okay.
Right?
All
And do
right.
they have a surplus? Like more money on the side?
A little stash.
Right?
Okay.
What's their surplus levels?
Okay.
That kind of tells you how diversified a company is. You know, all their eggs may not be in one basket. So to a policy owner, that says that policy is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Right? I may not have to worry like my grandma thinking
Gotcha.
that this company gonna get bought out. Right? There's levels.
So when a
There's
company
always
gets-
levels.
When a company is bought out like that, does that lessen the strength of that company, or how does that work as well?
It
as
doesn't.
a consumer?
Well, usually if it's getting bought out, it's getting bought out by a stronger company. I would say this: before 9/11, 2001, there were, and I want to get these statistics right. I know there was over 1,000 life insurance companies, right? After 9/11, a few of them went out of business, right?
Yeah.
And then you think about our generation who've been through the market crashes or things of that nature. Companies that were stock companies took a hit and had to reevaluate who they were. For instance, I guess it's no secret, so I'm not calling it out, but MetLife went through a change. They were a stock company, right? And after 2007, 2008, they had to change their platform from going to individual sell life insurance to just focusing on group to a point where they had to kind of limit and reel back what they did.
Focus on one thing.
Because they probably were going through different things, right? Different changes. And they're not the only one. I mean, there were other companies that went through those changes, right? So I'm saying this is an adverse effect of looking at company strength and reserves and surpluses of that nature. Can they weather the storm? This is what these agencies are looking to see, and then they rate them, right? Companies I deal with, at a minimum, got to have an A rating. At a minimum. Now, the company that I primarily do a lot of planning with is a AAA rated company. There's no way I want to put my client in something less than that if we're working on planning. Right?
So if I'm looking for something, I go to one of these agencies and look at the pros and the cons and the different things, right?
Well, you'll find that on all of them, right?
Okay.
You'll find it on all of them. So look at the ratings for what you need to get out of it.
What do I need? So why do I need life insurance? I mean, how much does a funeral cost? And let's say I got that cash. Let's say I put that in my savings account. I don't need no life. I'm not about to pay it every month on no life insurance. It's just life insurance. A funeral, $5,000. Matter of fact, I'm gonna prepay my joint because my cousin work at the one in Zebulon. So I'm gonna prepay my joint so my wife and them my kids ain't even gotta worry about it. I'm a prepay it. And man, shoot, I'm gonna leave here with a credit to the funeral home. What do I need life insurance for?
So I will ask you this question to answer that. What's most important to you?
In the world?
Yeah, what's most important to you?
Can we cut the mics? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Definitely my family.
Your family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely my family.
Okay. How do you see? So with that being a part of your family, a little bit about a family. You got young children?
Yes.
Would you like to see them go to school, college, or anything of that nature?
Absolutely.
What about the house? Do you have a house that you want to make sure that they're staying in?
Yes, absolutely.
What you do right now, is it an important, vital financial part to making a lot of these things happen today?
It's foundational.
It's the foundation.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you leave this earth, and the only thing you did was buy a burial policy, where are they going to replace your value immediately when you leave? How do they pick those pieces up? Is that a concern to you? Because you said that they were important. So is that a concern to you?
It's a grave concern.
It's a grave
concern.
concern.
So all right. So my question is, what? And I'm not being devil's advocate. I'm asking for them and for myself.
Yes,
like
please.
I've always kind of wanted to ask insurance people these questions. So let's say I got rental properties for all of them. So when I leave here, they each get their own. And
I love that.
I have savings, and I have stocks, and I have like crypto and things that I'm leaving to them. What benefit does a policy do for me?
Well, policy helps you because everything you listed, you're tax infested, right? Because you're going to leave rental property, something that will require, upkeep and taxes. And if they sell it, more taxes.
Right.
So it puts them in a financial awkward position at a young age, wouldn't you say?
Gotcha. Absolutely.
So the stocks still got to sell them, and you're not going to get the money immediately. Some of these things you got to think of, it takes time to unravel. Some stuff may take a month. Some stuff may take 12 months.
Absolutely.
They may not be able to get it off their hands. And it don't sound like you left a plan for them on knowing how to spend or how to attack all these things.
Well, I ain't mentioned that, but
right, because
so that financial planning.
That's financial planning.
Okay.
This is
see
part
how
of
I threw the alley-oop right there.
This is part of the mental health that you have to ask that question beyond just getting in the ground, right? Because there's some vital parts to the role that you play to that family that they need every day.
Absolutely.
And once you're gone, you have to think about, how am I replacing that other than just getting to the ground?
Got you.
Because there's some financial obligations. I don't mind people having 20, 30 rental properties, right? You can't take it with you.
Absolutely.
But you got to leave it to someone.
For sure, yeah.
And they have to know how to manage it, right? They have to know how to sell it. And if you never told them how, if they're going to sell it, they need to know how to maintain it. They need on-hand income. The life insurance policy, getting back to that original point, depending on the size of it, helps them to manage that through the storm.
Got you.
When notes come up, when 1099s off the earnings of your stocks and the tax got to be paid.
Right.
There's a reserve of tax-free income that was gained off that policy that can help them manage that.
Can you say that again? That part right there, tax-free
income.
Okay.
Tax-free income from the benefit to help them manage that, right? Now, I'm almost certain the burial policy ain't gonna help you manage that. That's gonna help them manage getting you in the ground.
So you trying to diss my cousin at the funeral home?
I ain't dissing your cousin at the funeral home.
That I'm a cash out my money too. You trying?
Your cousin is very important. He helps make sure you get in there properly. That you have paid your respects.
For sure.
He is a very important part of this conversation. But he is a part of the conversation. Right.
1099 on the cash out.
Because my thought was, if we were going to dig into the financial health of everything, these are the questions behind those questions that we need to sit there and ask ourselves. I'll even go this route. So, say dad just passed, right? Dad just passed, and him and mom was together for a minute. Mom is going to expect her kids to be able to help, right?
Absolutely.
We're gonna need them to help.
Yep.
And these kids may have their own families and kids. So who comes out of the workforce to limit the income they pay to make sure mom is okay? Do we have a plan for that? Somebody got to come out of the workforce. See, we don't live like we used to live in the 60s and 70s growing up in cul-de-sacs where everybody was related from the house of one all the way around to the other.
Right.
So I can't go down to auntie's house 2 doors down and just bring her a bowl of soup and she's straight. And it don't affect my daily lifestyle.
Gotcha.
Now auntie lives in 2 towns over, 3 counties over, maybe 3 states over. And the way this world is becoming an international world, no one's going to be living to each other as much
That's
anymore.
facts right there.
So it's not going to be easy for me to run to my mom's house if dad passed, or vice versa. Or if dad can't do 2 out of 6 cognitive things like dress himself, go to work, make food or whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to come out the workforce to help. These are all financial health questions. And the reason I bring this up is because the audience we talking to has experienced this to some degree. They just haven't thought about it in their planning.
Yeah.
But these are the questions that I typically like to get into and ask. You got to think these things out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You got to think them out. And you can't, it's just not about leaving. Maybe I got $2 million on me, I leave it to my wife, right? Mm-hmm. How's she gonna spend it? She could spend that in the most
that was my next question,
way and blow through it.
Yeah, when people get it.
Because I didn't tell her how to spend it.
Right.
I was like, listen, I'm gonna leave you $2 million, or I'm gonna leave you $5 million. In today's world, which is not a lot, honestly. Mm-hmm. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah, for real.
You can go through that.
Yeah.
Easily.
You can grow through it.
So is it a way, let's say, let's say I'm 40 and I don't have any life insurance, right? And I got kids and stuff. What size policy makes sense? What am I looking at paying monthly? And lastly, with what you're saying, is there a way, because all we know in layman's term, all we know is the big payout when somebody passed away. Mm-hmm. You pay this goes to the estate, whatever you got to pay out, and the rest is yours. Is it and lastly, are there any plans structured to stagger the payments over time, or does it just come in a big check?
Good question. The company actually gives you options. Mm-hmm. You could take it in a lump sum. Mm-hmm. Now companies have it where, depending on the size of it, they'll send you a checkbook and hold on to it and let it earn interest with them, and you write what you need when you want to write it if you feel like you don't want that kind of exposure. Let me tell you why. This is one of my colleagues, been in the business for 30 years down in Florida. He kind of threw this at me. He said, say you leave your wife $1 million, right? She's the direct beneficiary of that. And you pass, it goes to her bank account, she gets it. She's still kind of upset about stuff. She's driving home one day, gets into the little fender bender car accident. How much exposure does she have?
All of that money that's in there.
How much exposure does she have?
What do you mean exposure?
Well, depending on how bad it is, if the person is, and the person who has maybe a potential attorney mm-hmm. says, hey, this lady worth $1 million. Mm-hmm. You're not feeling pain?
My neck,
you're not hurt?
My back, my neck and my back.
Right.
The insurance company, hopefully she should have car insurance. She should take care of some of that stuff, but she still got exposure. See, there's things that doesn't resonate with us.
For sure, yeah.
So maybe putting it in a trust and let the trust be in the owner gets away from her exposure. It's the same way the life insurance company would do if they gave you the checkbook, right? It's not in your account, but you're writing for it. You're not exposed. Only thing exposure is what I have in my account. Oh, that's how they
brilliant.
Talk. When I say they, y'all know what I'm saying.
Different languages.
There's different languages. There's people who speak different languages. I'm just kind of telling y'all some of the stuff that I've seen and been privy to sit at tables and understand. That's how these conversations go.
And I think that
in which we have no idea.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. I think that seems to be a ongoing theme with every guest that you've brought, and we're understanding that the language is a barrier when it comes to legal, when it comes to therapy, when it comes to all these different things. The language is a barrier.
The language is the exposure to information.
Yep.
Yes, it's the exposure to information. It is a fear. There's a fear that people have. Most people who earn, there was a stat out, said something to the degree that most people who earn about $60,000 or less will not go see a financial advisor or a planner because they don't think they earn enough to see one. Mm-hmm. Like they have to earn enough money.
We only hear about it from big
right.
people in other tax brackets.
Like they have to earn a lot of money.
Yeah.
No, money is subjective. $30,000 might be a lot to somebody.
Right.
Versus someone at $300,000 might be worth a lot. It's subjective. It depends on who it is. I just say to the person, don't try or downgrade what you make and feel like you're not where you need to be to get some advice. And it doesn't always cost. It doesn't always cost. Like, this is just natural conversations that I will have. That's free information.
For sure, yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
And it's not, and Jimmy knows this, it's an evolving relationship. It's a consistent conversation.
And
it's not a product sale.
For sure, yeah.
We got to put stuff in place, and then we got to keep talking on how to get better.
We don't know to have that conversation, though. We have so many people that have looked at it from that same perspective: is I don't make enough, I don't own enough property, I don't, have stuff to leave to my kids. But it has to be built and done in a conversation that can make people understand that doesn't matter. You just have to start the conversation.
That's the beauty of barbershop therapy, because in all our paths, like, the people I need to communicate with, like you or, other people out there who may need to get this information, the odds of us bumping into you at Starbucks
and having this conversation.
I don't even go to Starbucks. I never see when else would I? And it's great for platforms, like the one Jimmy has created, to be able to educate us on this. So if I'm making, let's say right now I'm working overnight at Amazon. Mm-hmm. I'm working 12-hour shifts, $15 an hour. And I'm just noticing, man, like, I'm listening to this while I work. I ain't supposed to have my AirPods in, but I'm listening to it while I'm working. We don't want you to get fired because barbershop therapy will not pay your bills. I'm listening to it. What can I do with, I don't know, $32,000 a year? What monthly? What's going to be coming out of my check?
Different thresholds that you have at different cycles.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's very true. And sometimes I can even just slide you a questionnaire you fill out in your own time that I would probably ask you in person, right? Mm-hmm. You still got time to do it on your lunch break. You look at it. Mm-hmm. And I always talk to clients about, let's talk about what you want to do, and then let's see what you can do. You still need to know. You still have dreams, goals,
the car
and desires.
Dealership.
You still have them.
I want the Scat Pack, but you can afford this Corolla.
But you need to know what it takes to get to that.
Yep, and they don't want to tell you.
Because you have a fear of learning it, of knowing it. I said, let's snatch the Band-Aid off. Let's talk about what you want to do. Yeah. Lay it all out. What you want to do.
Yeah.
And then let's look at what you have, and let's see what you can do, and let's see what the plan is to get to what you want to do.
So there's no universal. It makes sense to reach out to somebody, fill out a questionnaire, and no matter where you're.
Well, if you can't answer all the questions on it, so what? Everybody can't answer all the questions on it. I'm not expecting the person to fill out what you can, because at least that's the first step to say that I'm committed to finding out. I'm committed to finding out. Yeah. I give you homework. You give it back to me. I'm like, this person committed. They want to know.
Yeah,
they really want to do it.
Jimmy, I'm gonna let you go because it's starting to feel like a consultation. But I was curious, man. I'm saying to myself now.
But the same questions that you're asking right now, somebody is
for sure
getting something from this. Yeah. And so I'm more than willing to sit back and let you get all the questions answer you need right now, because this is the whole purpose of this exchange, is for us to give information to people. And these are very common questions, and it is straightforward, and they're getting the answers versus, where do I go from here?
Or somebody selling you a product.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And it goes to another episode we had where we talked about just signing stuff. You don't know premiums. I don't know what a premium. I don't know what a reserve is. I don't know. Imagine someone who looks like myself, somebody giving me a life insurance pitch, and I start asking, well, what's y'all reserve? Well, what's y'all something? And
that's a whole different conversation.
Wait a minute. But it gives you power in certain situations, and it also, you can explain. I can go home and explain this to my kids and say, hey, boom, 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 boom. This is what I want you, over the next couple of months, we're going to start learning about this, because, my window is closing. I want y'all to be prepared. Mm-hmm. This is how I want you to move. Check out this podcast, and different things like that, because all we know is my cousin just passed away. I had two cousins back to back pass away under 35. So it's like, well, we trying to get the money together for and you hear that so much, and you look and say, man, they ain't got no life insurance. And it's like,
but it's a fleeting thought too.
Yeah.
Once it happens, they died, and 6 weeks later, then that thought is gone.
Yep.
It's never any action behind it. So we gotta, start putting action behind those same thoughts. When it happens, unfortunately, life is gonna happen. When we come here, there's an expiration date on all of us.
It is. We don't know when it is.
We don't know when it is, but at the same time, when we have those thoughts, we gotta put action behind it. We gotta stop letting it go, and then boom, the next family member dies, and then now it's prevalent again in your sight.
So let's. I got a good question for you. I want to get to this part. I know we on a borrowed time a little bit, so I want to get to this before we get to anything else, sir.
Right.
So I've been paying attention, be looking online, looking at TikTok, Instagram. I listen to a lot of people, a lot of financial podcasts. Some people look like me, some people don't, but everybody got a little information. Take meat, leave the bones. What's this I heard about people taking life insurance policies and borrowing money from them to pay for college and to buy houses and different things? So you telling me I could take a life insurance policy that I'm paying on that's supposed to pay for, because in my mind, all I'm saying is a funeral.
All right.
But these is people with this knowledge that have been creating opportunities off of life insurance policies? Or can I get some clarity on that? Because a brother in the dark.
I got you. All
right.
So primarily, life insurance is primarily presented to our community as a death benefit. The concept you brought up is a living benefit. It's a living benefit. It's infinite banking. There's another term out there called infinite banking concept. One of my old friends called me about that last week. He said, you know about infinite banking concept? I said, yeah, I know exactly what infinite banking is. That's having the ability to own a permanent policy that's a cash value building policy that grows over time that you can borrow and loan from as you come and go and pay yourself back. It's basically turning the bank of your name from your policy, being able to do that and be able to borrow and loan from it from a tax-free perspective.
The Bank of Jamar.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yes, exactly. And
98% interest rate, you borrow money from me.
But if it was an interest rate, it would be yours.
Yeah.
Because you're just paying yourself back to keep up with inflation.
So
that's pretty much what you're doing.
So how does that work? So if I'm looking, let's say I'm looking for a policy, and let's say I get one through my job. Like
wait, because it can't move too fast because part 2 got to move into all of that.
All of that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we won't. We'll save that for part 2 because I was about to ask some questions about that. Yeah. But once I kick the bucket, and I pay these things out. And let's say I go home and over the next 6 months to a year, I teach my kids how to manage money. All right. When I leave here, this is how much money you're going to have. All right. This is what I think you should do with it. This is what I don't think you should do with it. Whatever. I'm gone. I'm dead. I'm gone. What can I put in place for them and their kids? Is it any like, I know can I put policies on my kids?
You can. Absolutely. You could put policies on your kids with the concept of beginning their bank with that type of permanent policy, knowing that over time as they get older, the value that's increasing in it, that when you feel that they are responsible enough to be able to own this policy, or even teach them as you own it on their behalf. This is, Dad, there's something I need to do. I want to get such and such. And you go, all right, let's go. Like my son's nickname is AJ. I'm like, let's go to the bank of AJ. You 14. Let's see what the bank of AJ got going on. All right, so the bank of AJ says you had X amount of dollars. And what you say you wanted? I want to do this. Okay, but I might let you borrow from the bank of AJ, but I'm gonna teach you need to pay yourself back. Right? So I'm gonna teach you banking through your policy, right? And I'm gonna show you how to be responsible when they're old enough. Hopefully they've learned that concept. Now, there was something important you said too. Before you said something about the kids, and you was like, this is how I want you to spend it. This is what I don't want you to spend it on. So when you get it, please remember that. And hopefully they'll do what you say.
Yeah.
right? Hopefully they'll do what you say.
We all got dreams.
But there's a possibility they might not.
Yeah,
It's a
are
strong
there things?
possibility.
Oh yeah, there's a strong possibility they might not.
Are there things that we can put in place to
Yes, there
assure they handle and manage their money properly?
Okay. One of the things I would probably do is look into a trust, right?
What's the trust?
So a trust is, I'm gonna try to make it as very simplistic as possible.
Please.
A trust is like your representative without you being there. The trust basically tells those who have value within there what they can and can't do and how they can do it and for how long they can do it. It is your words with you not being here, right?
Overseeing the process.
So it may say, listen, if I'm leaving you $500,000, when you get to age 21, I'm gonna let you get 50,000 out. When you get to 25, you can get another 100,000. When you get to 30, you can however you want to lay it out.
Gotcha.
If you don't feel that they're financially responsible, right? If you don't feel that way, the trust, you can write the language however you want. You can have a guardian on their behalf to be like, if I pass, this person's going to be your guardian. And their job is to make sure between the ages of 18 and 21 or 24 or 23, whatever it takes, we fund your college. And you can only use this for goods and services, nothing else. Can't use it for anything. You can use it for goods and services. I'll let you possibly get you a car. I might let you put some down payment down on a home. I might let you do all of that. But that's all this will allow you to do. It's another part of why I said that, because I heard this conversation. It was a way that this person was trying to prevent the future spouse from being able to sue them and take everything they just built.
Gotcha.
Because
it's
the
all
trust,
in the language, right?
It's all in the language.
Yeah.
It's not part of my exposure.
Yeah,
Like the trust can do that finite type of planning where it can make sure the generations last beyond your days, for all your hard work, for all those policies you put into it, for all those things you did for them. It helps even protect them. A trust is that strong. So as you build assets, right? As you build them, that may be a vehicle you want to look into, but you want to get there, right?
So,
it needs to fit. It needs to fit.
Yeah.
But it gives you pause and it gives you thought to say, I'm not afraid to keep adding assets.
So it's a lot of it's a
planning.
lot of conversation about is the black community. I love black and brown people, but we grab things that are trendy and we run with them, right? So generational wealth is something
hate when
that's
people use that
slang
term.
around. But the truth of the matter is, a trust can almost ensure that.
It can.
A trust can almost ensure that.
I hate the fact that that term is getting watered down.
Yep, it's real
It's
generic.
like
right now.
the sizzle on a steak, on a ribeye steak. You haven't cut into it yet to taste it yet.
Yep.
But the sizzle sound good coming in there. It's like a fajita coming to the dinner table. Boy, that sound is impressive. That fajita is impressive.
Glances over at lunch.
So
That's how they're using the term now. And sometimes it bothers me because they use it to push product. And a product should not be pushed.
Can I interrupt you real
Go
quick?
ahead.
So when you're talking about pushing product, that's what happened to our family years ago. They pushed product on us without educating us about what those products actually do and what the long-term value of those products are.
And they push specific product. They only, if you go back in history, even companies I represent, some of them have made amends, did pledges, did whatever. But life insurance companies was built off the back of, insurance slaves and things of that nature, so they can build up their reserves, right?
Yep.
Then if you move into the 50s, 60s.
What's an insurance slave? What do you mean by that?
And on their death,
Slaves.
putting insurance on the slaves, so when they pass, they get
there.
they get that
so
money.
there'd have been a.
They get that money.
Oh my!
Policies.
I'm sorry. I just had a blonde moment. They would put insurance policies on their actual slaves.
Yeah.
And they continue to get richer.
Off of
After
it.
each
Build their
one
reserves, build all of that.
Oh, I'm good.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. Wow.
So if you start looking back, and it was primarily a lot of our people who weren't highly educated, things of that nature, right? That my grandma didn't finish. She stopped at seventh grade, but she went back. She got inspired by her grandkids graduating. Thank God she got a high school.
That's awesome.
high school degree by the time by the time she passed, which was great. But my grandfather, he stopped at 7th grade, things of that nature. People like that who just went into the workforce and work.
Right.
They specifically only wanted them to buy burial policies. They didn't want them to buy higher face amount policies because they understood the generational wealth that it can lead and jumpstart the next generation of their kids by them having some type of asset that will allow them to participate economically, right? It will allow them to buy their home right out. It will because we all lived in these neighborhoods. Think about, I used to just dream about, I was like, man, what if everybody in my grandma's neighborhood, I'm originally born in Goldsboro, shout out to Elton Drive, but everybody on that street, we all knew each other.
Yeah.
And I used to think, what if all of them had $250,000 policies on each of them when they all passed? Do you understand that those town politicians and mayors would have had to come talk to them because they had money?
That's right.
Because they had a voice.
And now you have
they had a voice. Right. Now that pothole getting fixed. Right?
Yeah.
Now it's getting fixed.
That's the $250,000 cul-de-sac.
Oh, that generation, that street right there got power. That street got economic
they're not
power.
Renting.
No, they're not renting.
Yeah.
They'll buy all them homes and they can buy more because they were still working on farms. They were still sharecropping. My great grandma stayed in the house that she sharecropped into the 70s.
Gracious.
To the 70s.
No, so I want to add something to this, right?
So I'm saying they only wanted us to buy those type of policies for those reasons. And we had hardworking people. I mean, black people didn't depend on the government. They didn't even want the government in their business. Right. They were free, strong thinking people. Even in the 50s and 60s. They didn't want nothing to do with any of that. So if they even had life insurance policies to match that mentality, our generations would be in different, all of us would be in different places right now.
So now that you said we're watering down that term generational wealth, right?
I think we are.
A component is, like I speak to my brothers, and me and you've had this conversation about, instead of it just being on your parents to child, siblings have to start looking at, I'm the oldest of my 3. And so we didn't have the opportunity to put that policy on our parents because they're in their 70s and, on the other side of their late 70s. So I said, hey, I'm the next in line. So as my 2 siblings are together, join together, place a policy on me that is of a decent amount. And then once you have that policy and I leave this earth, you're going to mourn for a moment, but then you have a benefit that you can now take the inheritance. And now, if you got $1 million policy, the 2 of you take $400,000 because it's tax free. Then you put $200,000 into a pot that's earning interest, and it pays for your policies moving forward.
There you go. That's called insurable interest, by the way. So for everybody, you can't go putting insurance policies on anybody you see in the street. You have to have an insurable interest. Just want to make sure I point that out.
Thank you, sir.
But he has an insurable interest is someone directly related. Like he said, his brothers. That's insurable interest. There is a distinct line between him and his brothers that the insurance company, right? Okay. Because there used to be abuse in that years ago where you can go get a homeless dude out the street for the policy on.
There's a big argument and man, this is extremely good. We are nearing the end of this episode, but this is really good because I just had a conversation with one of my closest friends. We was on the phone. I was on the phone with him yesterday when I came in, but I just had a conversation with one of my closest friends, and there was a situation where his uncle passed away, and his aunt was frantically trying to get the death certificate. And even he knew. I know why. She got a policy on him. Yep. She can't get that policy till he get that paperwork.
Yeah.
And his wife ain't coming up off that. Like, she don't know them like that. He ain't coming up. So what happens if you do that and you can't get it? Is that money, they take that, or what happens?
No, that money sits there, and a death certificate is a public document. So at some point, the aunt probably will be able to go get it.
I hope she grimy. I hope she's listening to this.
And she has an insurable interest.
I'm joking.
If she has an insurable interest. But that also leads to another thing that we don't do. Is have conversation. about what we have.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to leave your loved ones digging through the crates to go find your stuff.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because you didn't have the conversation. I know people right now who don't even want to talk about what they have
For sure.
to their loved ones, to their kids, or to their spouse. They don't even want to bring it up. Like, for whatever reason, they think the moment they spit it out, they out of here. It don't work like that. I was like, have you ever been on a vacation and not took luggage?
Yeah.
Every time.
Have you?
Every time.
Oh, and not took it. No,
not
never.
took luggage. Have you ever been on a vacation and not took? No, y'all saying y'all take luggage.
Oh, yeah, we definitely take
I understand what you're saying.
I'm sorry.
I understand. Y'all are good. Y'all are good. I was like, having these conversations is the same way.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
I'm not gonna go on a 5-day cruise and.
But that is our fear in our community, right? If you talk about death, oh my God, the death is gonna come down,
And then I would counter that and say, how many times y'all been after the person has passed, people tearing the house down trying to find out something. It all falls on one person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It always falls on one.
It needs to be some planning.
They got to go through and find some stuff.
sure.
Find the information.
For sure,
They stressing out.
Yeah.
And everybody got this. Well, you water. They got great
Advice all day
great
long.
advice.
Yeah.
Throwing rocks from the cheap seats,
Yeah.
right? And then that person stressing out, and then they go through the funeral, get home, the funeral home bring the pots and everything. People come over, you funding the meal.
Oh, yeah.
And then they take your plants.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he ain't gonna need that. She ain't gonna need that pot. She ain't gonna miss that plant. So you want all of this to continue because you don't want to have a conversation about cutting down on the information. It's kind of like, to me, it's just about telling stories. Because everybody has these experiences. They just got to remember what it felt like.
Yeah.
You got to remember what it felt like. And I will always say, if you don't have a plan, that's why I go back to my original statement. It's hard to grieve and do business at the same time.
Absolutely.
It is truly hard to grieve and do business at the same time. And most times when you don't have a plan, you're vulnerable.
Super vulnerable.
And the outside forces are going to take advantage of you. They just are. It's just the nature of it.
Yeah.
They're going to take advantage of you.
Yeah.
They're going to sympathize.
Mm-hmm.
And then they
Cipher.
Encipher.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're going
So-
to bleed you dry.
So
Right.
we're going to kind of move into closing this up for today because it's so much to unpack here,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like, and if we stay here, the lights are gonna go off. Demetrius, I really appreciate you taking the time. And Jamar, the questions that you asked today, like I said, somebody out here is going to really get a earful and an understanding of, of how insurance is working. And so we're going to have part 2, obviously.
Clearly.
And once we move into that realm, you can give us more ideas about the products that come along with
absolutely.
these
Things that
policies
will
and
reveal
things.
itself in the
Absolutely.
planet.
Absolutely.
They reveal themselves.
Yeah. So we just want to give a quick plug to you, your establishment, what you
Appreciate
trying to do, your vision, your mission statement. You know, we got time for all that. But we want to give a quick plug to you and what you do. And we super grateful to have had you, man. So if you want to tell the people, where you at, what you're doing, and how they can reach you.
Absolutely. So my office is located here in Raleigh. The address is 4140 Park Lake Avenue, Suite 450 here in Raleigh. 27612 is the zip code. My phone number, you can reach me directly at 919-302-3201. Again, 919-302-3201. And if you have access to Calendly, which that's starting to be a new thing, you can find me at this. It's Time with Demetrius. You can book an appointment with me online. If and I'll let you pick the time.
Okay.
I already got it. I already have slots up there for you to be able to do that. Say that. Harvey and Associates Financial Group LLC is the name of my business, and I love to have you and have a conversation.
Yeah. He can help you count.
Yeah. No GoFundMe.
No GoFundMe.
Yeah, no GoFundMe.
Death to GoFundMe.
Death to GoFundMe. Absolutely.
Prepare
Absolutely.
people.
Hey, Jamar, can you bring this thing to a close for us?
We can bring this thing to a close. We super, super happy. Learn so much. Excited to learn even more. This is Barbershop Therapy. We cutting through the problems before and after death. You know, it's vital. So we're super happy to have had y'all join us. Hoping y'all definitely tune in to the next episode and the part 2 and 3 that's coming along to this one. So good night.
Barbershop. till our problems all fade away. You either build or destroy. We gotta make a change, so we might as well start today. Barbershop therapy. Barbershop therapy. Where I know that they're here for me. Barbershop therapy.